Seth Ferranti here, your guide through the dark corners of the criminal underworld. As an outlaw filmmaker, author, and journalist, I've delved deep into the minds of gangsters, drug lords, and prison gangs. But my journey doesn't stop there. Let me take you on a thrilling ride as we explore the hidden stories and untold truths that lurk behind the prison walls.
As well as he knew the game, and as bad as he was, the law came down on him eventually. Supreme got locked up in 1985. When he got locked up, his nephew Prince, one of the most vicious members of the team to ever walk the streets of New York, took charge of the Supreme team. Supreme got out in the 90s and had an even bigger impact on the rap game than he did on the drug game. Any crime in any verse of any rap song was almost always tied to Kenneth Supreme McGriff. The dude was a part of the lyrical lore of hip-hop.
The high-powered rifle with a scope, the $4,000 in cash, and the $14,000 worth of drugs are evidence now. But early this morning, they were the heart and soul of a drug ring working out of the housing projects in the South Jamaica section of Queens.
Supreme oversaw the team during its wonder years from the early 80s until his incarceration by the state in 1985 and subsequently the feds in 1987. He served 2 years in the state and then went home on appeal bond when he overturned his 1985 conviction. But it didn't last. The feds came calling and Supreme pled guilty in 1987 to a continuing criminal enterprise charge for running the Supreme team and was imprisoned again.
Police department has made in excess of 80 arrests in here. Unfortunately, most of them have come back out on the street and basically back to the same location.
After Supreme went to jail in 1987, leadership of the Supreme team was assumed by Prince. Supreme's nephew was the enforcer and second in command for the Supreme team. Prince solidified his control by increasing the security force and employing it against rivals and against team members suspected of disloyalty. Prince had a vicious crew and security force that had several drug spots inside and out of Baisley projects. They sold the yellow top vials of crack, making almost $500,000 monthly.
Investigators say a lot of drugs moved through these two buildings in the past 6 months to a year. They estimate that in excess of 1,000 vials of crack were sold and bought here each day.
Prince became known as Mr. Untouchable in New York City's tabloid newspapers during the late 80s due to his proclivity to beat any and every case the state brought him up on. He beat multiple murder charges, including the gruesome quadruple murders of 4 Colombian coke dealers Prince and his crew tricked into bringing 8 kilos of coke to them at Baisley projects, proceeding to double-cross and murder them instead of paying them for the drugs in the summer of 1987. Prince was also brought to trial for shooting a rival dealer point blank in the head in broad daylight and acquitted when the witnesses recanted their testimony.
Prince was Supreme's nephew, his closest friend. They were almost like brothers and had an unbreakable bond. That's why Prince was second in command. But Prince didn't get down the same way Supreme did. You know, Supreme kind of had that gentleman gangster vibe, you know, a la The Godfather. You know, Prince was more like, you know, menace to society, colors, like he got down on the street. He didn't give a fuck. His attitude was get mine or be mine.
I'm a nigga Preem in the house. What up, nigga? You know, whole murder ain't family in this motherfucker. Hey, yo, the next joint I'm gonna do off my new album and shit is a joint that it kind of represents how I feel about my murder ain't family right now. We trying to do the damn thing.
The wonder years of the hip-hop era had ended as the Supreme team turned into a full-fledged criminal organization that handled all beefs with gunplay. Supreme eventually got out in the mid-1990s and started rolling with Irv Gotti's Murder Inc. and crew. He managed to produce Crime Partners, a straight-to-video DVD based on a Donald Goines novel of the same name. He rose high in the hip-hop hierarchy, riding shotgun with Murder Inc. during their dominant chart-topping years in the music industry when they were media darlings and MTV staples. In his 1990s heyday as hip-hop royalty, he was linked by police to every rap-related crime and pursued heavily by the hip-hop cops. The Organized Crime Task Force was always conducting continuous investigations regarding him and his dealings also. He has been accused of shooting 50 Cent and allegedly had a hand in the Jam Master Jay murder. He went back to prison in 2001 and has remained there, getting a life sentence on a murder for hire charge for the shooting death of Mobb Deep affiliate E-Money Bags. Supreme and Prince are now doing life in the federal prison system for their exploits in the drug game. Many other members of the Supreme team are either in prison with their leaders or did their time and got out. Most of the notable and reputable faces from the crack era are either dead or in jail. The impact the hip-hop hustlers like those from the Supreme team had on rap and popular culture is undeniable. You see it everywhere in music and film today, but the inevitability of their fates is real. They are not walking off the set of a movie or a video. At the end of the day, they are getting locked in a cell every night and getting served oatmeal for breakfast in the chow hall every morning. It was fun while it lasted, but the reality of living life in prison is final.